The restaurant went silent. Forks paused mid-air, the soft hum of evening chatter faded, and every eye turned toward the man who had just spoken. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried a weight that filled the air. "She's with me," he said calmly, protectively, as his hand rested gently on the shoulder of the little girl hiding behind him. Across the table, the elegantly dressed woman, the billionaire heiress, stood frozen, her eyes wide with disbelief. In that single moment, everything she thought she knew about life, love, and what truly mattered began to crumble. Before we dive deeper into this emotional story, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Tales, because stories like this remind us that hearts can heal, even when broken beyond repair. It had been 3 years since Daniel Carter lost his wife. A drunk driver, a rainy night, and a shattered dream, that's all it took to turn his life upside down. He was left alone with his 3-year-old daughter, Lily, and a mountain of unpaid bills. The house they once called home was gone within months. He traded his construction business for an old truck, his pride for survival. Every morning, he'd wake before dawn, drop Lily off at a local daycare, and spend the day working long hours as a mechanic, hands stained with grease, heart heavy with grief. But no matter how tired he was, every night he made sure to read Lily her bedtime story, the way her mother used to. In another world, one far removed from Daniel's modest life, lived Isabella Sterling, the only daughter of a powerful billionaire. She had everything: money, status, and influence. But what she didn't have was peace. Despite her success as CEO of her father's luxury hotel chain, she lived under constant pressure, surrounded by people who smiled to her face but whispered behind her back. Her life was measured in meetings, numbers, and headlines, not moments that mattered. The only time she felt human was when she escaped her corporate world to volunteer anonymously at a small community center downtown. That's where, one evening, fate quietly intertwined her path with Daniel's. It was raining again that night, almost like destiny repeating itself. Daniel had come to the center looking for affordable daycare help for Lily. He wore an old jacket and carried his daughter wrapped in a blanket. Lily's cheeks were pink from the cold, her small arms clinging to her father's neck. Isabella, dressed simply in jeans and a sweater, was serving food to the homeless. When she saw them, she felt an ache she couldn't explain. She offered them hot soup and a seat by the heater. Daniel thanked her politely, not realizing who she was, just another kind volunteer, he thought. As the weeks passed, they met often at the center. Daniel started volunteering there on weekends to repay the kindness, fixing broken tables, repairing leaky pipes, and building shelves for donated books. Isabella admired his quiet strength, the way he never complained, and the love that radiated from him whenever Lily was near. He admired her compassion. She wasn't the cold, distant kind of rich he had seen on TV. She listened, helped, and smiled like someone who carried her own hidden pain. Neither of them knew that beneath their small conversations and shared coffee cups, something fragile yet powerful was beginning to grow. But love has a way of testing hearts. When Isabella's father, Charles Sterling, found out that his daughter was spending time with a mechanic from the wrong side of town, he was furious. He invited Daniel and Lily to a charity dinner, not out of kindness, but to humiliate them. Isabella begged her father not to, but he insisted. "You'll thank me one day," he said coldly. "People like him don't belong in our world." That night, Daniel arrived at the Sterling mansion, wearing his only suit, one he had borrowed from a friend. Lily held his hand tightly, wearing a small blue dress Isabella had gifted her. The hall shimmered with chandeliers, and the guests were dressed in diamonds and pride. Isabella looked beautiful, but nervous. Daniel could feel the stares, the whispers, the way people looked at him as if he didn't belong. Still, he kept his head high, because Lily deserved to see her father proud. Then came the moment. One of the guests, a smug, wealthy businessman, leaned down and sneered, "Miss Sterling, is this your charity case? You really brought them here?" The laughter that followed was sharp, cutting through the air like glass. Daniel felt his blood burn, but before he could speak, Lily tugged on his sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, can we go home?" He knelt, kissed her forehead, and stood tall. The room fell silent when he finally spoke, not with anger, but calm, firm dignity. "She's with me." His voice echoed. "And I'm proud of that." Isabella's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she saw Daniel not as a man below her world, but as someone who stood above it, because while others chased power, he lived with integrity. She turned toward the crowd, her heart breaking. "Enough," she said. "If kindness and love make us lesser, then I want no part of your world." She walked to Daniel, took Lily's small hand, and whispered, "You're not alone." The days that followed weren't easy. The media twisted their story, her father disowned her, and Daniel lost his job after his boss saw the headlines. But the two of them refused to give up. Isabella used her savings to start a small business with Daniel, a family-run auto repair and coffee shop where people could come for honest service and warm company. They called it Second Chance Garage. It became more than a business, it became a community. People from all walks of life came, drawn not by fame or luxury, but by something rarer, genuine kindness. Years passed. Lily grew up surrounded by love, not wealth. Isabella found a happiness money had never given her. Daniel rebuilt his confidence, and together, they built a life that proved something powerful, that love doesn't need status, that compassion can bridge worlds, and that sometimes, broken souls find healing in each other. One evening, as the sun set over their little shop, Lily placed an old photo of her late mother on the counter. "Daddy," she said softly, "Mom would be happy now." Daniel smiled, tears in his eyes. "Yes, sweetheart," he whispered, "I think she would." Isabella reached for his hand, and in that moment, everything felt complete. They had been through pain, loss, and judgment, but love had the final word. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Tales, where every story reminds us that kindness still exists in this world. Yellow Heart. Sparkle's special request: comment below with the words, "She's with me," if you believe true love and compassion can change lives.